Well, good evening, everyone, or good morning or afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome here to the Launchpad and our second Falcon 9 live coverage of the day. Tonight, you're joining us for our live coverage of the Turksat 5B launch from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. As we get started, let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from, what time it is. We know we got people all over the world tuning in, and we're glad to have you all here. Julian from the UK, good morning. We got Jason, who's in Massachusetts. Great to have you here. We got Anton in New Zealand. Great to have you all here today for tonight's launch. If it's your first time here to the Launchpad, welcome. My name is Zachary Albert. I'm the host here at the Launchpad, and here at TOP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe that space is better together. So we invite you to be active in our chat. You can send in any questions you have throughout the night by just tagging us at the Launchpad, and we'll be able to answer those through the count up to launch or countdown to launch, and then through the coast phase up until deployment here tonight. If you are new, take a moment, hit subscribe as well, and you consider joining the Discord. It's totally free to join. We are in the live comms for a little bit of a pre-show here tonight, and then we'll be hanging out after the stream, continuing to answer your questions and just hanging out as a community. But great to have you all here this evening. Tuning in from a moisture farm in Tatooine. Awesome. We got Central Coast of California. We got with Edmund. We got Dirtfoot in Florida. Great to have you all here. Joel's in Texas. MJ's in Indiana. Great to have you all here with us this evening. As I said, if you guys have questions, let us know in the chat. We'll be answering those. We are waiting for SpaceX to get ready with their live views of the pad, so we're going to quickly run through a little bit about today's launch and the payload, and then we will go to start answering your questions. But again, today, SpaceX Falcon 9 launch of Falcon 9 Booster 1067-3. Just a 38-day turnaround, so they're getting much more rapid there. Launching from Slick 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, carrying 4,500 kilograms or a 9,900-pound satellite up to geostationary orbit, and this is for the customer Turksat AS. We've seen a few of these over the last couple of years, so seeing another going up. Tonight, a short follow Gravitas is 620 kilometers downrange with the support of Bob, and Bob will be attempting to recover these fairing halves from the water, which will splash down about 665 kilometers downrange. The fairings are both used. They were used on GPS-3 185 days ago, but they are still very dirty. They're probably one of the dirtiest fairings we've seen be reused as of yet. Weather so far has been go with 80% chance of having go conditions, and this is the 134th launch attempt of 2021 and the 30th launch in 1 year, with SpaceX setting that new record. And we know we have at least one more before the end of the year with the cargo resupply mission coming up in just a couple of days, and we hope you'll be here for that as well. On board is the Turksat 5B satellite. That is a communication satellite built by Airbus, and it's operated by the Turksat organization. It helps provide direct TV broadcasting and general communications to Turkey, Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia and Africa. And it'll be launching to a 42-degree east inclination, and it is going to be going up and partnering with a few of the other satellites that are up there. But as we get started, let's see some first questions as you guys are all checking in. We got PSB checking in from Wisconsin. Great to have you. Great to see here. We got Tamara's in Southern California. Bob's up in Ontario, Canada. Runs in London, UK. MJ, really enjoy and appreciate your coverage. And thanks so much, MJ. Appreciate it. We got Tasmania in the house. People all over the world. Joe, night launches will be preferential as we expand into the outer solar system. Sorry for the inconvenience. Night launches definitely, depending what you're doing, depending on the time of year and rotation, have the thing. I think they're the nicest. Right after that sunset, right within that hour, you get that chance for the chance of the kind of nova effect or galaxy effect during the launch. So too late to see that here tonight, but hopefully we'll have another one of those in the near future. Chris, do I play any instruments? I played clarinet in junior high. I have one. It's been a while since I've picked it up. And then I have an organ, but I know, what is it, like 3 Blind Mice or something on it, and that's about it. But the theory of music, yes, I do know. Guitar, have one, it never worked out well. Chris is tuning in from North Carolina. Great to see you. Same place as earlier, your room. Great to have you here. Good to see so many of our regulars, Heather and Conan and Richie and Joe. Thanks for all dropping in. Andrew, what can you tell us about that awesome Crew Dragon Falcon model? It looks well done, 3D printed. This is a 3D printed Falcon 9 from our friends over at Starship Balls on Etsy. Yes, that is the store name, so you guys can check that out. We are working on our brand new website, our first website. We're hoping to have that up for the new year, and we're going to have a full studio tour video coming out with the launch of the website, where we'll actually give you a breakdown of where all these models are from. But we're also super excited to start teasing that in the next couple of months, you're going to start seeing our own models coming out and collections that we're going to be releasing. So stay tuned for those coming out in the new year on various scales. But we're going to make sure we're offering everything in certain scales. So if you're like me, you want to have big rockets, you can have big rockets, but I want all my rockets the same scale. So we're excited to tell you guys more about that over the coming months as we launch that into the spring here. If you're on the Discord, you might get to see a little bit more of that a little bit earlier. If you're a member, you can go behind the scenes, and that's how you can get some early access to see what we are working on before everybody else does. SpaceX is going live here, so the moment they're ready, we will patch them in for a live view of the launch here this evening. If you're just joining us, though, welcome to our live launch coverage of Turksat 5B, launching from Cape Canaveral. Great to have you here. Into Cosmos had a Queen cover concert. That'd be good. Heather, how about an app? Eventually. We've got some plans for one. Eventually. They're just a little bit more expensive than a website. But it's definitely on the plan. I want to see a 3D model of your helmet logo. We're working on that. That's definitely one of the things we're working on, Chris. I was not paid for that lead-in. Totally unscripted. It's true. Andrew did not get... We did not tell him that, but it worked out. We're also really happy with our partners, though, who have helped support us in the first year of the channel. And as we wait for SpaceX to start, I just want to say thank you to you guys. You guys have really blown us away over this year. We're going to do a recap at the end of the year, but you have absolutely crushed what we thought this channel would be the first year. And we're excited for what 2022 is, and we'll go from there. Joe, Zach is shopping for so that's going to happen. Shopping no longer. That is done. So, more to come. If you're in the Discord, you might get to see some previews over the next few weeks. Literal okay, awesome. Sweet. Good to have you here. Hey, Justin, good to have you. SpaceX is getting their feed started up here. As always, if you guys have questions, you can keep sending those in at any point through the broadcast. Just tag us at the launch pad. Once SpaceX goes live, we will input their audio directly and uninterrupted, so we'll be able to hear what's going on with the rocket, but we'll continue answering your questions in the chat, and then we'll resume that during the deployment leading up to the deployment with the coast phase. We don't have an exact time yet on how long deployment will be, so we're hoping to hear from that as well. Do I have a calendar date? Not yet. You hope James Webb doesn't hit Santa? That's the thing a lot of people have been talking about. I'm surprised they're launching it on Christmas Eve more just for their staff. That seems like it's a very early morning launch. A lot of people won't have the chance to fly home. You're requiring a lot of people to be there. So I'm kind of shocked that, I know it's an important launch, but it's waited this long. Can't it wait another week or two to go? I know we all wanted to go up and we wanted to go up right, but it is Christmas too. And of course other holidays that occur this time of year as well. Tamara, question, Etsy size are men's size or will there be women's shirts? We are working on getting some women's shirts out. Right now they're all unisex sizes, but we can work on some women's ones. If you see a design, Tamara, that you really want in a women's cut, if you can send us a message on Etsy, I can get that edited and up for you. we got unisex up first, then we got baby stuff up, and now we're getting kids and the women's up as well. So if you see a design you really want, I know we had another request earlier today, we'll get that up tonight. So if there's something you see specifically, you can use that, and then you can use the code once you have that up. Chris, thank you so much for becoming a private astronaut. We appreciate you supporting us in that way. If you are on the Discord and your name's not that name, if you want to DM me or any of the other moderators, they'll be able to upgrade you to make sure you get that behind-the-scenes access. I appreciate that. If you need the link to the Discord, it'll be in the description here shortly. Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. It does make a difference there. When do I think we'll see a static fire of the booster? I think we're a week or two away. I think we're going to see a New Year booster test there. But you're joining us for our live launch coverage of Turksat 5B launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Let's listen in to SpaceX Mission Control.
Hello everyone and good evening. It's Saturday, December 18th, and you're watching the live webcast for the Turksat 5B mission for our customer Airbus. My name is Ian McCullough, and I'm a sales manager here at SpaceX, joining you from our headquarters here in Hawthorne, California. Just 15 hours ago, we successfully launched 52 satellites from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg Space Force Base, and we're back again joining you all for the launch of Turksat 5B. Turksat 5B is a communications satellite that was designed and manufactured by our customer Airbus. The satellite will provide broadband internet services to Turkey and various other parts of the world. We're having a busy few days as we are also gearing up to support the CRS-24 cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station on Tuesday, December 21st at 5:06 a.m. Eastern Time. Before we explore more into today's payload, let's take a closer look at the Falcon 9 vehicle supporting today's mission. On your screen is a live view of Falcon 9 awaiting its 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time launch from Space Launch Complex 40 from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Falcon 9 is our 2-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle and stands 230 feet, or 70 meters tall, which is greater than the wingspan of a 747 aircraft. The bottom 2/3 of the vehicle is the first stage. Most recently, we successfully launched a reflown booster for a record-breaking 11th time during the Starlink mission earlier today. As you can tell from the reentry soot, it's pretty easy to spot a flight-proven booster. Tonight will be the 3rd flight for this particular first stage. It previously supported NASA's CRS-22 mission in June earlier this year, and Crew 3 only last month. At the bottom of the first stage, there are 9 Merlin engines that will get the F9 off the ground and up to the thinner parts of the Earth's atmosphere before separating from the second stage and making its way back down to Earth for landing. And it's part of the rocket that we will attempt to recover for a 3rd time on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the first and second stage will separate, and the second stage will ignite its single MVAC engine to carry the Turksat 5B spacecraft into a geostationary transfer orbit. The Turksat 5B satellite is currently safely enclosed inside the 17-foot diameter payload fairing, which is the structure at the very top of the rocket you see on your screen. This protects the satellites from aerodynamic heating, loads, and contamination during ascent. Once we reach the vacuum of space, we will jettison the fairing halves while the second stage continues onto orbit. The fairing halves we are using today are flying to space for the 2nd time, both having previously supported the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission in June earlier this year. And we will be attempting to recover them today using our recovery ship, Bob.
Good evening. I'm John Innsbrucker, Falcon Principal Integration Engineer, joining you from the webcast desk in Hawthorne, California. The launch and satellite vehicle teams are ready for launch as we approach T-minus 12 minutes to liftoff. Falcon 9 team was on console and received their countdown briefing at T-minus 2 hours. Final vehicle checks began at the flight termination system and the Merlin engines on both the first and second stages. And most recently, we completed the poll to proceed with propellant load and launch. This was at T-minus 38 minutes, and all 7 members of the launch crew were go. Our team began loading propellant on time at T-minus 35 minutes. Falcon 9's first and second stages used the same 2 propellants. One propellant is fuel, the second propellant is an oxidizer. So Falcon 9's fuel is RP1, a refined form of kerosene. Now to burn the fuel, we need an oxidizer. In the lower portion of the Earth's atmosphere, oxygen makes up about 21% of the air that you breathe. So most fires never need to worry about supplying an oxidizer. It's supplied by the oxygen in the air. However, there is no atmosphere in space to provide oxygen molecules, so rockets need to carry their own. And our oxidizer is super chilled liquid oxygen called densified LOX. The liquid oxygen is chilled well below its boiling point, and that increases its density, allowing us to load more into the first and second stage LOX tanks. Now, Falcon 9 carries over 1.1 million pounds of propellant at liftoff. You can see her on the screen. And we burn off most of it in the first 8.5 minutes. Now, all of that propellant goes through the 9 engines on the first stage and the single engine on the second stage. Now, later in flight on the second stage video, you may notice the nozzle of the second stage engine is larger than those on the first stage engines. That's because the second stage engine only operates in the vacuum of space, while the first stage engines have to operate from sea level up to vacuum. So in the vacuum of space, a large nozzle allows the pressure of the Merlin engine to fully expand so that it matches that vacuum pressure when it leaves the nozzle. Now, if we tried to use that large nozzle on the first stage engines, it would be very inefficient until the last seconds of first stage flight when we do finally get to the vacuum of outer space. So we use a smaller nozzle on first stage engines, and that's a much better match for flying through the Earth's atmosphere on the way to space. On the weather front at Cape Canaveral, we started with a 10% probability of violating launch weather requirements. We've been watching some showers on both sides of the launch complex, but nothing right now looks like it's going to interfere with launch. So we don't expect any weather holds as we continue the countdown. The weather conditions are also looking good for booster landing on our drone ship and for fairing recovery. So with that, the launch vehicle, the satellite, the weather, and the range are all good to go for a 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time liftoff from Space Launch Complex 40.
As I mentioned earlier, the Turksat 5B is a communication satellite that will provide broadband internet services and will be the most powerful of the Turksat satellite fleet. The Turksat 5B communication satellite will operate in Ku and Ka bands at the 42 degrees east longitude slot in geostationary orbit in order to provide service in a wide range of areas covering the Middle East, the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, Nigeria, various parts of Africa, and its immediate neighbors. Turksat 5B has high data transmission capacity in the Ka band and has a designed service life of over 35 years. Now, let's take a moment to learn more about what makes this communication satellite unique.
We're going to keep their video on here so you can see what they're talking about, but they always have music that is not always copyright friendly. So if you want to check that out, make sure you check that out after the stream here. But little infographic, I'm sure they'll show us some information about their satellite. But if you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad, our live coverage of today's Turksat 5B launch, launching from Slick 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying just the Turksat 5B satellite up. Today's boosters, 1067-3 on a 38-day turnaround with reused fairings that both supported the GPS-3 mission 185 days ago. We've been hearing from Mission Control there that the weather is good, as well as the weather for recovery, and everything's tracking towards an on-time liftoff at 22:58 Eastern, or 10:58 p.m. Eastern, 3:58 a.m. UTC. We're glad to have you all here. If you guys have questions, you can keep sending those in the chat, and we'll work on answering those as we count down the last 7.5 minutes here until liftoff and then through the coast phase. For today, they're launching to a geostationary orbit with an inclination of 42 degrees out to the east. We'll have the live telemetry up on screen for you guys as that launch occurs, so you can see which way it's tracking. If you are down in the Cape Canaveral region or along the coast and end up seeing it and take any photos or videos of it, if you send those to us over on Twitter at @TLPN_official or on Discord, you can send those in and just have a chance to possibly be featured on this stream or an upcoming stream. We love seeing what your guys' view of the night is like. I think it's kind of cool they have this random sales. Yeah, it is neat who they select to have doing their hosting, but we all love a John there, so it's always exciting when John pops up on the screen. Kind of a famous personality for SpaceX, so always exciting to see him there. As they're showing a bit of information here, the satellite will be used to help do direct TV broadcasting and general communications through Turkey, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, and Africa, operating from that geostationary orbit. It has 2 deployable solar arrays. With the batteries, it has over 15 kilowatts of power, making it the most powerful satellite yet in the Turksat fleet. Due to having the large amount of power, the satellite is actually fully electric and uses ion propulsion to make its maneuvers when it needed to, and it's expected to last 15 years in orbit before it will have the end of its life. Turkey board, yeah. Hey Marcus, good to see you. Glad to hear that you landed safely. NorCal, good to see you as well. If you're just joining us though, take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. We are T-minus 5 minutes 20 seconds and counting until liftoff of tonight's Falcon 9 carrying the Turksat 5B booster or satellites, up into orbit. Tonight's recovery will be on a short fall of Gravitas, SpaceX's newest drone ship, which is 620 kilometers downrange, with the support ship Bob. I still find it funny how short that name is. Like, I love the name Bob, but it's just funny for a boat. We went from these big long names to Doug and Bob. But a great way to remember that DM2 crew and the risk they took to prove that Crew Dragon was safe and ready for use to have mass transit up to the International Space Station. Let's listen back in.
Shortly, the transporter erector will retract the strongback to the pre-launch position. That's about 2 degrees from the rocket. What we're waiting right now is to see the clamp arms open around the second stage, and that'll be followed by the hydraulic movement.
Retract has started.
Okay, we've heard the call out there. The strongback retract has started. Seeing a lot of condensation as we're boiling off, or we actually have the cold second stage liquid oxygen meeting that warm Florida air. But we probably can see the arms start to open. And then once the arms are open, the strongback will move about 2 degrees away. And then once we're at launch, ground hydraulics will move the strongback to a position about 45 degrees away. Now, first stage fuel loading is complete. We're currently waiting for first stage liquid oxygen loading to complete at about T-minus 3 minutes. Second stage will complete a minute after that. Now, 1 minute before liftoff, you're going to hear the announcement Falcon 9 is in startup. Now, this announcement means the rocket's first and second stage computers are now controlling the launch countdown on the Falcon 9. Now, at about T-minus 2 seconds, we'll light the 9 engines on the first stage. Once the engines are confirmed to be at full power, the flight computer on the second stage will command the ground hold downs to release the rocket right at T0.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
We've heard the call out. Stage 1 LOX load is complete. We're on time, coming up at T-minus 3 minutes and counting. Now, the satellite team is continuing to monitor the status and health of the Turksat 5B payload located inside the fairing on top of the second stage. Now, all the systems are go on the satellite, and the satellite did switch from ground power to its internal batteries at T-minus 16 minutes. Coming up on T-minus 2.5 minutes shortly. Everything continues to look good. We're still loading liquid oxygen on the second stage. Now, currently the range is green. The air and sea space, as well as the area around Complex 40, they're clear for launch. And on the weather front, as we talked a few minutes ago, the good news is we don't have any weather that looks like it's going to hold us. But if we did have a weather rule violated, we cannot stop and try to launch later. But the good news is the weather looks good for launch. Now, if for some reason we have to call a hold on today's launch, we have a backup opportunity scheduled tomorrow at the same time. All right, now we're waiting to hear the call out for Stage 2 LOX load complete.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
There we are. So we've closed out propellant loading on all stages. We're getting ready to begin what we call blowing down or purging the liquid oxygen propellants out of the strongback that we're going up to the second stage. And then we'll be venting down pressure in the strongback.
Started.
And you can see there's a stream of white vapor coming off of the strongback. That's normal. That's just the excess pressure in the ground side being vented out, and it's meeting that warm, humid Florida air. And you get that white condensation. Next event coming in 10 seconds is going to be startup. We'll also begin pressurizing the first and second stages for launch.
Falcon is in startup.
We've gone to startup. Flight computers on both stages are now running the Falcon 9 countdown. Next event, launch directors go.
LD, go for launch.
You've heard it. Launch directors given the go. Everything continues to look good. T-minus 36 seconds and counting. All systems are go for the launch of Falcon 9 with Turksat 5B.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff.
Pitching downrange.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
Just like that, Falcon 9 is lifting off. Top left, the live views. Bottom right, you've got the live telemetry and trajectory of the first and second stage. You'll see that
T plus 40
there.
seconds. Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, carrying the Turksat 5B satellite to geosynchronous transfer orbit. We've throttled down in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. We're in the throttle bucket. Good views from the SpaceX ground cameras following the first stage.
Falcon is supersonic.
We've gone supersonic. The Merlin engines are back up to full power.
Max-Q.
And we're through the period of maximum dynamic pressure. Everything continues to look good. Trajectory is nominal. Avionics report systems are nominal.
Passing 3,000 kilometers an hour over 25
100 seconds into
kilometers
flight,
altitude.
coming up in just under a minute. We're going to have main engine cutoff, where we shut off the 9 Merlin 1D engines. We'll separate the stages, and then the second stage engine will ignite at about the 2-minute and 44-second mark.
MVAC is chilling in.
The MVAC-D engine chill-in call-out. We've begun putting a little bit of liquid oxygen through the turbopump to get it cold in preparation for second stage ignition. That's coming up in just about 34 seconds from now. First stage is coming up on 4 Gs acceleration, and we're going to begin throttling down to hold 4 Gs. Getting ready for main engine cutoff.
First stage engine cutoff.
Stage separation confirmed.
MVAC ignition.
We've got successful stage separation. The second stage now under power of the single Merlin vacuum engine. We'll be coming up on fairing deploy in a little under 30 seconds. Views of the titanium grid fins beginning to deploy on the left as we see the lights of Florida in the background as we head east, due east from the Cape into our transfer orbit parking orbit.
Always a beautiful
Getting ready
view
for
of
the
that
camera on
Falcon
second
booster
stage to
cam.
switch forward to look at the spacecraft and the payload fairing for fairing deploy.
Fairing separation confirmed.
And And there you see, the two fairing halves have separated, falling away from the vehicle. We're now exposing the Turksat 5B satellite to outer space. As a reminder, we will be attempting to retrieve these two fairing halves with the help of our recovery vessel, Bob. Now, as mentioned previously, these two fairing halves supported the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission in June of this year. But right now, we're at T plus 4 minutes and counting. Everything continues to go well for the Falcon 9 mission, carrying Turksat 5B into the parking orbit.
So on the bottom right of your screen, you can see that live tracking of both the first and second stage. As stage 1 begins having reached
As John
its
mentioned,
apogee, and now is beginning its descent back down to the drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas, and that second stage continues to burn. The blue line is the current trajectory of the booster. The white line is what the target is. So you can see that blue line slowly stretching around. And once it hits a full orbit, you may see a secondary blue line appear, because that will show that it actually will complete an orbit and continue on. The first stage now coming down to 122 kilometers and slowly picking up speed as it makes its descent. The second stage passing 150 kilometers in altitude, going over 11,800 kilometers an hour. So picking up its speed there, about halfway to its target. Next up, we're going to be seeing the entry burn on the left side of your screen, and we'll pull that up full screen for the landing burn to follow shortly after. Second stage cutoff will occur just before the landing burn. They're normally quite quick back to back there. But hopefully we'll see a successful landing on a shortfall of gravitas. Saw a couple questions coming in really quick. What's the throttle bucket? That is when they're coming up to the most pressure on the rocket. They actually throttle the engines back to help decrease that force on the rocket, and then they'll throttle back up. They did the same thing with the shuttle. The SRBs, obviously, they couldn't throttle, but they could throttle the shuttle's engines. So it's something standard you see with most launches occurring there. But keep sending in your questions. Take us at the launch pad, and we'll keep trying to answer those. But let's keep listening into mission control as we await the re-entry burn. T plus 6
If you're just
minute.
joining us, we had a successful launch from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral. And we're currently watching the second stage on the right-hand side of your screen enter orbit. With the left-hand side of your screen, the first stage is heading back to our drone ship in the Atlantic, a shortfall of gravitas. Let's watch out for that landing, that entry burn begin in just a moment.
Stage 1 FTS is saved.
Stage 1 entry startup.
Really bright from that entry burn start.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
And there it looks like we've had a successful entry burn shutdown. If you noticed on the launch pad, the Falcon 9,
Trajectory is
when the
nominal.
Falcon 9 makes its way back to Earth, you may notice some different soot markings on the outer side, or the outer edges of the rocket. If you ever wondered how those soot markings are formed, it's because the soot is generated when the carbon-based rocket-grade kerosene RP1 burns. Since reentry occurs engines first, the booster flies through its own plume, which deposits the soot on the rocket, and you can see some of those sparks and soot flying up at the camera there on the left-hand side.
Terminal guidance.
Again, as a quick recap, we had a successful liftoff at 10:58 p.m. from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. A successful separation of the first and second stages. The first stage is on its way back to our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas in the Atlantic Ocean.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
And the second stage is heading to its initial orbital insertion with the Turksat 5B satellite. We're coming up on a couple events, SECO 1 and landing burn.
And back engine cutoff.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Had a successful second engine cutoff, and
Nominal orbit
the
insertion.
landing burn has just started.
Here's hoping the cameras hold. We got both the cameras
And we just heard
up.
good orbit. confirmed a nominal orbital insertion. We're now
Stage
waiting on
one,
our
landing
Falcon
leg
to
deployed.
land on drone ship, a short fall of gravitas.
There it's got the drone ship. It looks like it's landed. Slight delay.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there you have it. That's SpaceX's 99th successful booster landing, as well as SpaceX's 78th mission flying a refuel and booster. Our mission isn't over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its coast phase between the first and second burns of the MVAC-D engine. After the coast phase, we will light the MVAC engine for a second time, a little bit after T plus 26 minutes.
Expected loss of signal, keep.
We'll see you back here in about 20 minutes at T plus 26 minutes. In the meantime, enjoy some space tunes.
And we're going to take your guys' live comments and questions. If you're going to head out for the night, thanks so much for joining us, though. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and check out our shop. 10% off everything with the promo code LaunchDay in all caps. That link is in the chat there. But if you guys have questions, you can keep sending those in. A successful landing of Booster 1067 on a short fall of gravitas. And now we've got about 15 minutes or so until we have a little bit more activity. So we got some time to answer your questions. For that, I know we had a few come in during the launch, so I'm going to try to find those as well, but you can keep sending those in. Dirtfoot, too many clouds. Chris, too many clouds. Oh, that's fortunate for you guys. Sorry you didn't get to see it there. Good to see you, Michelle. Greetings from Arizona. Great to have you here. You saw it from the Florida Keys for a few seconds, Drone Jack. That's awesome. Yeah, there was a lot of clouds tonight. 2 launches in one day, pretty impressive. Yeah, and another one coming up very quickly with CRS 23, the cargo resupply mission launching from pad 39A. Andrew, I wonder if SpaceX is filming from the other barge that recovered this AM's launch. So this morning they were on the West Coast. So they launched from Florida, or sorry, from California. This was Florida. So definitely wouldn't be able to see them this launch from that one this morning. Other side of the country, continent even. That flare is going to cost a little bit of refurbishment, probably. That was quite a bright flare. Now it could be just the camera kind of readjusted out of focus, and that could be why. But definitely going to see a dirty booster when that comes back into port in a day or two. Heather, it's like clockwork now. Yeah, they land them pretty spot on each time, and we were talking earlier in the Discord and kind of the pre-show that not that they're boring, but they're just routine and they're so normal now. So good to see that. 78th reuse, assuming it's 10 million savings per reuse. That's almost $1 billion saved over the years. Yeah, the reusability is a huge part of why SpaceX is being a success. Love NASA. SpaceX is all over it. Thanks, Virginia. Ooh, enjoy the game. Stay well. Epic Gamers asking, has the FAA approved the SpaceX Starship? No. We're not expecting to hear the environmental review assessment until December 31st. We're so close. That's when we're supposed to hear the results of that. And then hopefully we will see a launch license shortly after. But we need that environmental review to be completed first. Study sounds, why do some use Falcon 9 and some use Falcon Heavy? Good question there. It depends on a number of different things. The orbit that they're trying to go to, the weight of the payload, and different things like that. Weight is a huge part of it. The only reason you need the extra boosters is to get that extra weight off. Or to get into a orbit further out, or actually even ejecting from the Earth orbit. So depending on, if they used a Falcon Heavy, they wouldn't need all they'd use like a third of the fuel of all 3 boosters. So it just wouldn't make sense for a launch like this, because they're able to do it successfully with a Falcon 9. But for some launches, a Falcon Heavy would be an option there. Sparks had you worried? They definitely were a little brighter, but we do see the sparks quite often, so nothing to be too concerned about. It just means there might be a little more refurbishment that they'll check over, just depending on what all takes place there. But if you're just joining us, you're about 13 minutes late for the liftoff of tonight's Falcon 9 rocket. You can jump back and watch that there. And if you guys have questions, we're going to continue answering those as we await the next about 12 minutes until we have that second stage burn and then deployment. But two very quick launches here today, one early this morning and then one tonight. Glad to have you here. Heather, do we have a launch date and time for JW? I'm assuming you mean James Webb. Yes, December 22nd. We've scheduled the stream. The targeted launch time, let me pull it up here so I quote it right. Sorry, December 24th. It was the 22nd. It's delayed it to the 24th at 12:20 UTC, which would be, doing math, 4:20 p.m. Pacific. So, sorry, 4:20 a.m. Pacific or 7:20 a.m. Eastern, or 9:20 GFT. Yeah, so 12:20 UTC is when James Webb will launch on Christmas Eve. So we hope you'll join us all for that. We will be going live with some live views from the pad as soon as those are available. We'll bring full coverage of that, but super excited to see James Webb finally take off. If you want to pick up a James Webb shirt, still time to order it. You won't have it in time for launch, but it'll be a nice commemorative one. And we're also going to do a commemorative shirt on launch day, so you can make sure to check that out as well. Is this live? Yes, this is live. I just want your tank, Starling. I ordered it 2 minutes after it was announced. Yeah, they're slowly rolling it out, very slowly. Yeah, spot on there, Chris. When was the last time we saw Falcon Heavy? I feel like it's been a long time. Yeah, it's been over 3.5 years. 3.5 years since we've had a Falcon Heavy. We were supposed to have 2 in 2021, but both the military payloads weren't ready, so they were delayed to 2022. So we now know we have 3 to 5, Falcon Heavies that could launch in 2022. And then in 2024, we know of at least 6 that are on the docket. There's a couple in between there as well. That's in 2023, but 2022 and 2024 we're going to see a lot more Falcon Heavies, one every couple of months, so really excited to have those. We're hoping to be down there live on location for that next Falcon Heavy launch, as it's been quite a while, and excited to bring you guys those live views. Jose, when are we going to land on the moon's surface? 2023 to 2024 is when we're expecting testing of Starship landers and things like that. So it's going to be a little bit. Absolutely, Chris. Let me send that for you in the chat here. Oh, 2 people already did it. Heather, Chris, you guys are on top of it. Thanks, guys. Joe 2018. So there was 3. So we have had 3 Falcon Heavy missions. Everyone knows the car one, but there were actually 2 payload missions that did occur that just most people didn't end up tuning into because the world wasn't like, oh my goodness, like they were the first one. So they've had 3 before, and now we've got at least 12 or 14 that we know of that are scheduled. Some don't have dates yet, but there's quite a few. Falcon Heavy is going to become quite popular over the next few years just because of what's being launched. Falcon Heavy is going to be key to launching stuff to the lunar orbit, so it's going to be launching the Lunar Gateway space station as well as the cargo resupply missions to the Lunar Gateway, so we're going to see more on that as well. Marty, what happened to the second stage rocket in space? Is it retrieved? So it won't be retrieved, but it will be garbaged. So second stage after deployment, we'll do another burn when it's ready. To do a deorbit, so it will crash into a safe zone that's designated. Normally, it's on the western side of Australia when we see the launches from Florida after a couple of orbits, and it'll do a deorbit and splash into the ocean and be garbage there. They are not recoverable, though. Tom, congrats on launch, even though There were a lot of clouds from Florida. Got to see it from about 125 miles. That's awesome, Tom. Congratulations. Glad you got to see that. Thanks, Study. I appreciate it. Lots of reading. Sumray, do you know if SpaceX has finished the larger fairings yet? Assuming you're meaning for the Falcon Heavy Extended mission for the Lunar Gateway. We haven't heard anything directly of those yet. But they're still working on them. They've still got a few years, so I'd be surprised if they've made them yet, just because then they'd have to store them. And there's no point in storing something that large. They don't exactly have a lot of extra space. They have the large hangars that we see at the pads, then they have their production facility. They have some of their other facilities across the country as well, so they might be getting started, but they've still got a couple years. Real YouTube, can't wait to go to Mars. Me too. James Webb is going to be a huge proof of concept as for pulling off the astronomically unlikely. Yeah, James Webb is going to be really amazing. I'm excited to see what we get from it. I'm worried about it, though. 344 points of failure, not including the rocket, that have to go perfect. It's 30 days of holding our breath once it's launched to see if it unfolds and becomes operational. And the biggest issue with James Webb is we can't go fix it. One, we've never gone that far. It's way past the moon at the L2 Lagrange point. And two, the temperature. It's going to be sitting at a consistent 40, I believe it's negative 40 degrees Kelvin, which is like negative hundreds of degrees in Celsius and Fahrenheit. And the issue with that is anything we have right now that could approach it risks causing the shattering of ice, shattering of the glass, causing disruption. We just don't have a vehicle that we could actually approach and get close to it. It wasn't designed around that. So we hope it goes well and doesn't have a Hubble issue, because if it does, it's going to sit there for a long time before we can ultimately go do something about it. Nash, how do you realistically see us getting to Mars? Big question, you know. We're going to go. We're going to go. Sadly, we are going to see loss of life. That is just something that's going to happen. But those will be the pioneers of getting us started and proving that we can do it. I think we're going to be extra safe and take more time than we think. So 2024 is off the map. 2026, maybe we'll see cargo starships. 2028, I think we could see the first pioneers go. Maybe. So we still got some time. We got lots to learn and go from there. But we are going to Mars, and I think we'll do it. But it's not going to be a vacation right off the bat. It's going to be like a hiking trip more than anything with big suits. But, you know, by end of the 2030s into the 2040s, I think it could actually be, you know, quite a bit more sustained life, a lot more built habitat and stuff. And, you know, maybe by the time that I'm retiring, it's one of those places you can choose to do, you know, like a 2-year cruise, you know, 6 months there, a year there, and then you come back. I'd consider that. But I wouldn't go if it was a one-way. I'll put it that way. There you go. You're spot on into the cosmos. Then 40 Kelvin. That's why. Kelvin, Celsius, not the same thing. I know. Dominic's asking, do you think there is a possibility with technology in the future that they could travel back to now and have influence? Ooh, you're talking time travel. No. Based on everything science that we know, I don't think so. Let's hope it's not a Martian scenario. Yeah, definitely not what we're looking for there, Chris. Definitely not. Jose, who will be selected to go to Mars? Only billionaires? No, so billionaires are going to be the last people selected to go to Mars, actually. The people that selected are going to be scientists, botanists, you're going to have medics, you're going to have engineers, you're going to have scientists, all those type of things being selected to go to Mars, not billionaires. Billionaires, sure, they could probably buy a seat, but at first, we're going to be so limited in resources. Even if you paid as much as you want, really going to be a waste of skin in many ways in the early days. So it just doesn't make sense to have billionaires there. So that won't happen. To the space station or to the moon, yes, we'll see billionaires and millionaires go first. Mars, no. Space TV, since Bezos and Branson went to space, the public seems to be rallying against spaceflight, especially space tourism. Absolutely. Do you think this is a phase or the start of a more anti-space rallying against spaceflight? Excuse me, especially space tourism. Do you think this is more of an anti-space movement? I think there's a lot of people that don't understand how much we have that comes from space, and it's a video we've been thinking about doing. Is everything that we have thanks to space. And it's hard because the list is so long. But the amount of stuff that we have only exists because of space travel and and maybe it would have come up other ways, but we got because of space. Bifocals, memory foam glasses, microchip computer chips, WD-40, all those type of things are because of space travel, and I don't think we would have known. Let's listen in here as we come up to that second stage. You can see engine chill beginning. Doesn't look like they've picked up the live commentary here yet, but we're getting ready for that second stage ignition to finalize the burn here of the second stage, and then we'll have deployment in just a couple of minutes. But there's a lot that comes out of the space industry that I think we need to be grateful for, and I think if people really saw how much they came from space, they'd be more for it. Do we necessarily need space tourism right now? Do we have issues here on Earth we need to fix, like poverty and the fact that people don't have food and water? Absolutely. I've worked for humanitarian aids. I've been on the ground in the largest slum in Kenya and in other countries, and absolutely it's something we need to take care of. And I really like one of the guys that went on the last New Shepard mission somewhat had the idea of, if you're going to be able to afford a ticket, donate the value of that ticket to charity. Now, he donated it, I believe, to charity that helps make space tourism more affordable. But why can't we do that for humanitarian work? If you can afford to go to space, donate all or half or a portion of the cost of your ticket on top to a humanitarian aid resource. There's a lot of stuff that we can do that isn't going to cost a whole ton if we had the support of people. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But
carrying the Turksat 5B
here
satellite, designed and developed by Airbus. We're coming up on the second burn of the upper stage engine in just under 30 seconds. Now, to recap what's happened so far this evening, we had a smooth liftoff at 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time. 2.5 minutes later, our first and second stages successfully separated. The first stage, which made its third flight today, landed on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. Now, the second stage completed its first burn, and that successfully inserted today's payload and second stage into the parking orbit you see on your screen right now. We're getting ready to relight the second stage engine to put us into the geotransfer orbit.
And back, restart ignition.
We've got ignition of the second stage engine. We're up on power.
Those little cloud things that you saw falling off, that is frozen liquid oxygen that has accumulated on the engine there. It can be a really quick burn here.
For second stage engine cutoff number 2. And this burn will place the Turksat 5B satellite into the required orbit prior to separating it from the Falcon 9. Now, as you can see, during this burn, we're going to add about 2,700 meters per second, almost 6,000 miles per hour, to the speed of the Falcon 9 second stage. And that's going to take us well in excess of the standard geo orbit of 35,000 kilometers. We're hearing tank pressure is looking good. Engine performance looks nominal. And we've We've got shutdown of the second stage engine. You saw it briefly there on the screen. And in the background, we heard nominal orbit insertion. So that's the good orbit call out that we always like to hear. So as a reminder, for those tuning in, the Turksat 5B satellite is still attached to Falcon 9's second stage. And you can just see it a little bit there. We're getting into sunrise is we're coming up over Gabon, or leaving the Gabon ground station, coming up over Heart of Beastock in Africa. So right now, we're going to wait a few more minutes for the satellite and the second stage to get closer to the final destination. So we're going to pause the commentary during the second coast phase, but we'll come back just before stage 2 separation takes place. We'll be back at about T plus 33 minutes and 30 seconds, about a minute before separation.
So we're going to have a few minutes here to continue answering those questions. You can keep sending those in the chat. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. Let's see where we left off. Marty, do I think Blue Origin and SpaceX will merge? No. But I think Blue Origin will find its niche and become... it'll find what it's doing. I think if it can get New Glenn to work, I think it will become functional. Mars, what are the chances of it becoming occupied in... Mars, what are the chances of it being occupied in the past, and there's signs of this? I think that comes down to a whole lot of questions on aliens and religion and all that. So I'm going to not really touch on that one. Is it a possibility? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. But we'll have to just wait and see. Throw the question back at you. Do you think our humanity could handle knowing that there was life on another planet that close any time in the past? I don't think so. Can anyone answer why there is not unedited photographs of the Earth? There are. You can get raw photos from NASA. Thanks, Matthew. Appreciate it. Great to have you here. What's the secret to happiness? Doing stuff that you love. Oh, let's see. Chat jump there. Drone Jacob at Mars has little shrimp creatures and other things living underground. I think that's absolutely possible. I think there'll be microscopic stuff, and maybe other stuff living in the frozen waters or having lived in the frozen waters. I definitely think there'll be life that is found, but we'll have to just see what is found. We're still discovering life here on Earth, so we'll have to see. Yeah, that second stage glow always looks really good. Yeah, correct. The cameras are for visual confirmation of the engines. They do have a front-facing camera that they point around. Excuse me. But right now, the biggest point of it is the fact that they want to be able to just see the Earth visibly. The forward-facing camera that shows the payload is shooting into the sun right now, so you really don't get to see a lot. There's the view of the payload. There's Turksat 5B. Yeah. Could you briefly revisit my question, please, particularly regarding the anti-space flight movement? Thank you. I think there's always been one. There's been always a fight not wanting to go to space and waste the funds. I'm not too sure what question you're wanting answered. Like, it's there. We're always going to have people that don't think space flight's required. So... that's just going to be there, but I think there's a lot that come out of it that's for the good, and if we're taking care of here on Earth at the same time, like Inspiration 4 did, that's how we should be living. This is real, Miguel. This is real. Current Mars are doing chemistry. We don't yet have... correct. Yeah, most of the... We do have one rover doing the samples, and those samples will be getting recovered in the near future here. Gonna listen in as they should be coming back here shortly for payload deployment. Thanks, Andy. I appreciate that. It's great to have you here from Alaska. Are you near... I'm blanking on the name of it. Where Astra launches? Why am I blanking on the name where, starts with a K? Kodiak. Are you near Kodiak?
Signal Mauritius.
Welcome back to our launch coverage
Here
of
we
the
go.
Turksat 5B mission. If you're just joining us, we have just one more major milestone coming up to complete today's mission, which of course is the deployment of the Turksat 5B satellite from Falcon 9's second stage, which is scheduled to take place in about a minute. Prior to reaching this upcoming milestone, we had an on-time launch at 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by a successful ascent, separation, first stage landing, and 2 second stage engine burns. As previously mentioned, the Turksat 5B satellite was designed by our customer Airbus to provide broadband internet services to areas such as the Middle East, the Persian Gulf, the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, Nigeria, various parts of Africa, and its immediate neighbors in addition to Turkey. Turksat 5B will be the most powerful of the Turksat satellite fleet and has a designed service life of over 35 years. Now, in any moment, we'll witness the satellite's deployment from our Falcon 9's second stage. Get a good view right here.
We should see that deployment any second here.
Payload separation confirmed.
There we go.
And there you have it. We've received a successful separation of the Turksat 5B satellite from the Falcon 9 second stage, which now brings today's webcast coverage to a close.
Expected losses.
Thank you to Airbus for entrusting us with the Turksat 5B satellite. A big thank you to the Range and the Federal Aviation Administration. We really appreciate having your support for today's mission. It's been an exciting day here at SpaceX, having supported 2 missions within roughly 18-hour time frame. But as we mentioned before, it doesn't end there. Be sure to join us for the next cargo resupply mission to the International Space Station with the CRS-24 mission, currently targeted for Tuesday, December 21st at 5:06 a.m. Eastern Time. And to all our viewers, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon.
And just like that, we'll keep that live view on here for a second as that satellite coasts off. And you can already see the second stage beginning to turn away to have preparation for its burn to deorbit itself. But that is it. Another mission complete. Before y'all head out, hit the like, subscribe button. Our upcoming missions, we just dropped the link in the chat for the next launch, which is CRS-24. They'll be launching, as they said, on Tuesday. So 2 days and about 5 hours from now. Following that, we've got another launch on the 21st. We've got the Amerisat launching out of Japan. We've got Virgin Orbit with Launcher 1 on the 22nd. We've got an Angara rocket on the 23rd. We've got James Webb on the 24th. We've got OneWeb on the 27th. And we will be then stretching out into the new year at this point. There may be another mission or 2 added on there, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is going to do it for the year. There's about 7-8 more launches that we'll have here. So a busy last couple of weeks. But glad to have you all here. As we wrap up, you can send in those last questions. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're on that road to 15K by the end of the year, and we're only able to do that thanks to your guys' support. Also, consider checking out the Etsy shop one last time. Promo code LaunchDay in all caps together gets you 10% off of everything. Can't guarantee Christmas shipping, but makes a great way to support us and get something in your hands as well. How will astronauts embark on a 6-7 month travel to Mars after, say, 3 test flights? How will they survive the radiation? The radiation's the biggest question, Dominic. Absolutely, they're working on that. They're looking at having radiation shelters, most likely with water around them. So if there was some sort of flare that were occurring, they would be able to go into like a safe room. But for most of the time, they would be safe on board the capsule. Let's see here. Catching up the last few questions. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching. SpaceX with a great launch. Thanks, Zach. Sean, hey, where can I get a model Falcon 9? You can get them online on Etsy and a few other places. We will be launching our own model collection here in the new year, so you can keep an eye out for that over the next couple of months. We're going to have a few different scales available for you guys. Everything we have in the studio is mostly 3D printed. That's what we're going to be launching. We're going to try to do them at a budget-friendly options as well, so you can stay tuned for those. We're hoping to have the first stuff out maybe in January or February, but we will see how that progresses. But stay tuned for that, Sean. If you wanted something right away, Starship Balls on Etsy is really great, or Bohimzo. Lots of options there. But with that, we're going to wrap up here for this evening. Again, take a moment, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't yet, consider joining us over on Discord. We'll hang out in probably live comms or gaming comms a little bit for kind of a post show like we normally do in the evenings. And you can join that for free. If you want to help support what we do, though, you can become a member by hitting that join button or going to patreon.com/thelaunchpad. If you do that, you can get access to our behind the scenes on Discord, early video access, scripting access, the last few space news updates from the point I start writing the script through filming, editing, and everything. I've been live in there as well, so you can get that full kind of raw view. We got lots of plans on adding more in the new year as well. Yeah, Patreon and some of those tiers also have discounts available for the shop all the time rather than just at some periods of time. So you can do that. Make sure you follow us over on Twitter, TLPN_official. We live tweet any space news as it happens, generally before we get a space news update out. And if you guys ever have questions, you can send that in on Discord. There's a section called Send in a Question. Drop it in there, and we try to get back to you as quick as we can with an answer. But that is going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you for watching. Here at the Launchpad, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow. We believe space is better together. And thank you for watching our live launch coverage of Turksat 5B from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. This is Zach with the Launchpad signing off. Have a great night, everyone, and we will see you in 2 days for CRS 23.